Good afternoon, everyone that's joining us on the KXAN live stream at the moment. Will Dupree here in the KXAN live studio. You're looking live right now at the Austin Police Association office. We're awaiting a press conference here that the police union has called this afternoon to talk about a lawsuit that an officer filed recently. The officer that filed this lawsuit, his name is LaMarcus Wells. He is alleging racial discrimination against the department, saying that he and other African American employees at the department were passed over for promotions and other jobs because of their race. Now, this also follows, we should say, a complaint against the former Assistant Police Chief Justin Newsom, who is accused of making racial slurs at employees at the department there. He is now out of a job, and there is an independent outside investigation that the city has started into these allegations related to many of these similar claims. Again, you're looking live right now inside the Austin Police Association office. The police union is going to hold a press conference to address not only this officer's lawsuit, but also this independent investigation that the city has called for now related to the former assistant police chief's comments that are racist in nature. So again, we're going to hop off here real quick and let you take a listen as we await representatives from the Austin Police Association to speak with members of the media who are gathered here to listen to what they have to say about not only an officer's lawsuit, but also an independent investigation into the police department regarding some previous racist comments made by some of the top members of the police department there. Right now, you're seeing one of our photographers from KXAN News doing a microphone test just to make sure our audio is sounding good. It appears that the press conference may get started here very shortly. We believe we'll be hearing from the police union's president, that's Ken Cassidy. We've talked to him a lot recently about many different things, but I believe he's going to be addressing the media who are gathered in this room awaiting the press conference. Again, you are looking live at the Austin Police Association, as you see there on the wall. This is at their office. They have called this news conference to not only talk about one officer's new lawsuit, but also an outside investigation that the city has now launched into comments made by a former assistant police chief. To give you some background on this lawsuit, we had reported about this pretty extensively yesterday during our newscasts. The officer who filed this anti-discriminatory lawsuit is his name is LaMarcus Wells, and he worked for APD since 2007. He alleges that he and other African American employees at the Austin Police Department were routinely passed over or rejected from advancing in positions there. And as you see, Ken Cassidy, the police union president, is stepping up to the microphone right now. Let's jump in there and listen to what he's going to say as other members of what look like the Austin Police Department file in behind him too.
All right, y'all ready? All right. I want to thank the APA Board of Directors, members of the Austin Police Association, guests, and the media for being here today. The troubling information that unfolded over the past few weeks has shaken our department to its very core. We, the APA, are proud that we were the first to take action when we heard disturbing allegations come out during the Jason Dusterhoff arbitration. Many of the people standing before you requested an outside, independent investigation as soon as we learned of the possible improprieties. It was after requesting the investigation that the whistleblower's anonymous complaints were made public to the media. The alleged allegations in the complaints are disgusting, which includes language and behaviors that will not be tolerated by myself, the APA Board of Directors, or the members of our association. I work often in the downtown area command. Backfilling shifts shifts that are that way due to short staffing in our department. While backfilling, I'm often assigned to work with Detective LaMarcus Wells and Officer Keston Campbell, the officers who were allegedly referred to in an extremely disturbing manner by a former assistant chief. I can tell you these officers, when I'm standing up here with me, are fantastic cops, and they're great people who love to serve the Austin community. Both officers are known for their positive, upbeat personalities and their huge smiles. Sadly, since this incident, I've worked with both officers, and it is extremely difficult for them to even crack a smile. What does this tell us? They have been damaged by these comments, which were alleged to have come from a member of our executive leadership team of our department. The community needs to know these alleged comments have directly damaged the men and women of the Austin Police Department who do their very best in the community every day to serve them. I want to thank City Manager Spencer Cronk for acknowledging our concerns by granting an outside independent investigation into not only the racial comments, but a deeper look into the actions or lack of action by the Chief of Police, Office of Police Oversight, Assistant City Manager Ray Ariano, and City Legal. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to remind you that the Austin Police Association has been a leader in the state of Texas when it comes to holding leadership and our officers accountable. We were the first Texas police union to allow oversight on our labor contract, and we continue to have a robust oversight process today. We welcome Ms. Lisa Tatum to come and give us an open and honest investigation. Hopefully it will shed light into the horrendous allegations made against an assistant chief and any systemic issues within the police department, city leadership, or city legal. I also want to comment about a resolution that will be heard by City Council in December. We welcome more training of our police officers, and we welcome a thorough, honest review of our departmental practices. What we don't welcome is a stoppage of any police academy. We're currently allowed 1,959 officers, and we are presently at 1,789 officers. That's 170 vacancies. These vacancies have also caused Chief Manley to place a freeze on any movement of our patrol officers until April. Quite simply, this is demoralizing to our officers. The citizens of the citizens of Austin and our officers are in danger with a staffing shortage of this magnitude. Any stoppage most likely will cause irreparable harm to our department, which could take years to recover from. The department recently hired a civilian training specialist. Dr. Sarah Villanueva will be conducting a total review of the Training Academy's curriculum and should be consulted before this council makes any sudden and reactive decisions on delaying the much-needed cadet classes. Thank you, and we'll go on to our next speaker, who is Chandra Irvin. She's a sergeant in the Austin Police Department, and she's also the president of the TPOA.
Good afternoon. As Ken Cassidy said, my name is Chandra Irvin, and I'm the president of the Texas Peace Officers Association, which represents African Americans here at the department. I would like to thank everyone in attendance. I would like to give special thanks to all the officers, community members, and leaders of the community, and special interest groups that have shown support and solidarity by standing here with us today. We are here today because of the action of former Chief Justin Newsom and the inactions of Chief Brian Manley. The TPOA board and the members view these statements made by former Chief Justin Newsom against African American officers as an example of racial intolerance and bigotry allowed to fester and take root in this department. What Assistant Chief Newsom said about LaMarcus Wells and Keston Campbell, he said about every other African American here on this force. Although we did not hear him say those words, we still felt the same sting of racism. We find the inactions of current Chief Brian Manley implausible and unacceptable. Chief Manley, having full knowledge of Assistant Chief Newsom's insensitive racial statements, failed to take appropriate action. Chief Manley permitted Assistant Chief Newsom to continue to make decisions over minority officers despite the racial animus toward African Americans. And what you permit, you promote. How can APD expect to hold errant officers accountable if senior leaders are not held to the same standard? There seems to be a two-pronged system at work within the Austin Police Department, one for the administrative staff and one for the lower rank and file, and this is not fair. Chief Manley always talks about our core values: I care, integrity, courage, accountable, respect, and ethics. Well, I say this: where was the integrity when this came to light? Where was the courage to come forth and do the right thing? Why wasn't AC Newsom held accountable for his actions? Where was the respect owed to the other officers on this department when this came to light? And where were the ethics in all of this? As a result of Chief Manley's inactions, the day-to-day activities of minorities and black officers have been unduly affected. The Austin Police Department's current racial situation provides insight on one of the many failures that Chief Manley to confront implicit and explicit bias in a serious manner. As a result, both our executive staff and command staff are without African American representation for the first time in over 20 years. This has contributed to a negative impact on the morale of African American officers. Chief Manley has had 4 opportunities to diversify the assistant chief position here in the department. Each time he opted not to place an African American in the role. Instead, he placed a former assistant chief, Justin Newsom. Chief Manley has solidified to the African American constituency that he does not see the true value of diversity. Chief Manley's failure to act not only affects African American officers, it affects all officers of this department, black, white, or whatever. We are all affected by the acts of former Chief Newsom and the inactions of Chief Manley. And this is evident by the diversity that is presently standing with us today in unison. The department has worked tirelessly over the years to build trust, brotherhood, and camaraderie, and build a bond between the officers who work here at this department. AC Newsom's statement and Chief Manley's inaction has broken those bonds. The department has also worked tirelessly to build bridges and establish mutual trust within our diverse community. Assistant Chief Newsom's racist statements and Chief Manley's inaction has destroyed those bridges and the mutual trust. We can only hope that this type of bigotry does not make its way into our interactions with the community we serve, into the department's policies, or permeate APD's police culture. Therefore, we are in support of this independent investigation. Thank you for your time.
Good afternoon. My name is Michael Crumrine, and I have the privilege of being the president of the Lesbian and Gay Peace Officers Association. We stand here today united in saying that the women and the men of the Austin Police Department will not tolerate racist, bigoted, homophobic, transphobic, or misogynistic comments or actions within our ranks. We stand united with all of our sisters and brothers in blue in denouncing Justin Newsom's remarks and the actions, or rather inactions, of Chief Brian Manley in addressing them. I want to talk today about the difference between words and actions, as well as what it means to do our duty as Austin police officers. Chief, your words over the past few years since you pinned on that 4th star have not matched your actions. You have told us that the queer community in Austin matters. However, it's been nearly 4 years since the murder of Monica Loera, and you and the department misgendered her. It's been over 3.5 years since the City Council passed a resolution directing you to develop and implement policies, procedures, and training to make sure we never do what we did to Monica and the trans community again. However, despite being encouraged by the community and by your very officers
to do the right thing by implementing new policies, procedures, and training, you and some of your executives team have slow-walked, delayed, and stalled addressing this issue. You have failed to give your officers the tools to succeed when engaging the trans and queer community. But worse than that, your actions have sent a clear message to Austin's trans and queer community that they are not important enough to be made a priority. In your email to the department dated November 8, 2019, you stated you became aware of the text messages sent by Justin Newsom that were going to be used to confront Newsom at an upcoming arbitration. You also said that Newsom had concerns about what was in those texts. You stated you never inquired as to the content of those texts, but instead you sent Newsom to City Legal. Although many of us question the accuracy of your statement, we are willing to give you the benefit of the doubt. In that same email to the department, you advised you received an additional email on October 7th, 2019, informing you the texts were racial in nature. Yet despite being told by a subordinate that they sent texts that were seriously concerning to them, and being informed that the texts were racial in nature and the comments that went along with them, you failed to act. You failed to act for over 3 weeks. You didn't open an investigation, internally or externally. You failed to restrict Justin Newsom's duty in any way. And you allowed him to resign from the department, retire, with an honorable discharge while collecting a $137,000 bust-out check. Chief, you were negligent to immediately open an investigation, restricting Newsom's ability to retire until his investigation was complete. Again, all the words that you have told us over the years of doing the right thing, even when it's hard, of having integrity, courage, and accountability, do not match your own actions. I am very proud to show the citizens of Austin the difference between your words and our actions. It is the women and men of the Austin Police Department who take action every single day. It is the rank and file of the department who are part of this community who every day strive for excellence in policing to the citizens we have the privilege to serve. And it was the women and men of the Austin Police Department who called for an independent investigation, not the executive team, and not you, sir. We called for an investigation immediately when we first became aware of the serious allegation made in Jason Dusterhoff's arbitration. And when we became aware of the racist comments made by an assistant chief of the Austin Police Department, it was the rank and file of this department who rallied around those officers Newsom had targeted and said, no, this is not APD. No, we cannot and will not tolerate this behavior. It was the women and men of the Austin Police Department who immediately asked for a meeting with the city manager to express our disgust in Newsom and our disappointment in you. It is the rank and file of this department who realized that the wound Newsom created on Austin's diverse community, the wound that you, Chief Manley, allowed to fester and grow, will be the very wound that we, the men and women of the Austin Police Department, will heal. It is the women and men of the Austin Police Department who stand together in unison, regardless of race, gender, ethnicity, sexual orientation, or gender identity, and say in one loud and united voice, not here. Not in our community, not in our department, and not in our house. We will never allow racist, sexist, homophobic, or transphobic comments or actions to be tolerated by any officer who wears the Austin Police Department badge. There is a quote that is attributed to Ralph Waldo Emerson, which says, "Your actions speak so loudly, I cannot hear what you're saying." Chief, you and some of your executive staff actions have spoken so loudly, we can no longer hear what you were saying. Thank you.
My name is Melanie Rodriguez. I am currently a sergeant in the Austin Police Department, and I'm president of the Austin Police Women's Association. The failure of leadership that has occurred in the last few months at the Austin Police Department has shaken the foundation of the officers that serve the city of Austin. The actions or lack of action from executive staff do not represent the fine men and women that show up to serve every day. As a workforce, we demand equitable treatment and impartial attitude, but it appears that there are two standards for investigation and discipline, one for the executive staff and one for the officers. I have confidence that the independent investigation will shed light on the inequity of treatment between executive staff and the rank and file. The Austin Police Women's Association will continue to work every day to make progress in all areas of the department, including promotions, specialized units, and career development for all minorities with a focus on inclusivity. The APWA demands that our leadership do the right thing every day, every time, for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now open it up for a few questions before we have to go.
What specific questions do you want to see this independent investigation answer?
I think we need to find out what exactly Justin Newsom said. We need to find out who knew what when. You know, we have the original request was to look into Chief Manley, Ray Ariano, and City Legal, because we believe that they knew about what Justin Newsom had said months before it ever came out.
You think the chief should resign?
Nope. You know, everybody that spoke today has a voting spot on our board of directors. And we are in the community speaking, you know, some people don't like it, but we always feel like our officers deserve due process, and Chief Manley deserves nothing less than that.
What are your thoughts on putting Chief Manley on restricted duty while he's under investigation?
Well, we asked for the city manager to do that last week. We were denied. And, you know, if we had made a comment like that, we'd be at home sitting on the couch.
Any chance we can hear from Detective Wells briefly?
No. No. Thank you for being here today. Thank you very much.
You're hearing now that the press conference called by the Austin Police Association is wrapping up now. Different members of the police force who have just spoken are walking out of the room. Again, this is the police union office. There were multiple people that spoke, starting with the police union's president, then followed by other ranking officers who are a part of a African American police group, as well as an LGBTQ police group, and then followed by an Austin Police Women's Association president. Our live stream has gone down at this point, so the press conference is over. Our reporter, Jackie Powell, is in that room. She was listening to the comments being made, and she's going to have more coverage on this. This press conference called and is reaching out to Austin Police for comment about this latest development from the Austin Police Association, calling out Chief Manley and others who are leadership at Austin Police Department. Jackie Powell will have more on that coming up this evening on KXAN News, so you can, of course, stay with us and tune in a little later tonight and on our website for more up-to-date information. For now, thanks for joining us. I'm Will Dupree here in the KXAN Live studio. We'll see you again.